It's never easy being the boss. You have to deal with all the big problems, and people are constantly taking shots at you. That's probably how Dana White is feeling right now. One of his star fighters has called him a drug dealer and complained about awful treatment by the UFC. So, who's had enough of the organization and feels like they've been mistreated? And which UFC commentator was accused of using cocaine? Stay tuned to find out. Tony Ferguson. Have you ever dreamed of yelling at your boss? Or maybe insulting them in front of a huge audience? Well, that's the fantasy that Tony Ferguson got to live out this month. Unfortunately, it didn't end so well for him. Ferguson is considered one of the most formidable lightweight fighters in UFC history. He won the Ultimate Fighter Season 13 and went on to become champion of the lightweight division after 6 years of back-to-back wins. He has beaten the likes of Rafael dos Anjos, Anthony Pettis, and Donald Cerrone, along with 9 others. But recently, he hasn't been having much luck. He is on a 4-loss streak and can't seem to rekindle his former glory. His most recent fight against Michael Chandler could have been a return, but early in the second round, it was clear that it wasn't. Chandler connected with a brutal front kick and knocked Ferguson out cold. He didn't get up off the floor for minutes, and the crowd were in total shock. The impact was so hard that Chandler fractured his shin on Ferguson's head, and in the build-up to the fight, it seems like he had other things on his mind than just fighting in the octagon. Tony called his boss Dana White a drug dealer and said that fighters at the UFC are treated like He was angry that his competitor Michael Chandler had been given opportunities that he hadn't. After moving from Bellator in 2020, Chandler was given a shot at the lightweight championship in just his second fight. That led to Ferguson thinking that he was totally forgotten. He had been waiting years for another chance at the title, but it was a mixture of bad timing and bad luck. Missed out. When Tony Ferguson was set to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 223 in 2018, it was one of the biggest moments of his career. The former lightweight champion Conor McGregor has just been stripped of his title for inactivity, and it was announced that the winner of Ferguson and Nurmagomedov would be the new champion. And even though they had been trying to organize this fight for years, once again, something came in the way. During some of his media obligations at Fox Studios, Ferguson tore a ligament in his knee. When the injury was revealed, Ferguson released a statement and said that he was hurt, frustrated, angry, and in disbelief. He was replaced by then featherweight champion Max Holloway in an exciting matchup between ground game and striking accuracy. But when weigh-in date came along, the event was in for some more bad news. Holloway was assessed as medically unfit to compete in the event, and the UFC had to keep looking. During this chaotic pre-fight buildup was also when Conor McGregor and his team infamously attacked a UFC bus while Khabib and his teammates were inside. McGregor was later arrested and charged with assault. But by the time that UFC 223 came around, it wasn't McGregor, Ferguson, or Holloway facing Nurmagomedov, but Al La Quinta. It was starting to feel like this promotion was cursed, but La Quinta was a worthy competitor. He had a 13-3-0 record and beaten Jorge Masvidal on his way to the Khabib fight, and it was by total chance that he had been given the opportunity. Unfortunately for him, Khabib was at the peak of his powers then, and although they went the distance over 5 rounds, the result was a unanimous decision in Khabib's favor. What now? After his loss to Michael Chandler, there are not too many directions for Tony to take. He said his knockout defeat put him out for a long time. And he also talked about how he had significant memory loss and only regained full consciousness when he was walking to the ambulance. For Chandler, it was one of the best moments of his career. He had proven that he well and truly belongs in the top 5 of the lightweight division, and that his transfer from Bellator was a good deal for the UFC. But for Ferguson, this is another low point. He was once considered a legend of the division, but hasn't been able to live up to his reputation recently. Like a true sportsman, Ferguson took all the blame for the loss and admitted that he should have kept his hands up and his chin down. And he also congratulated his opponent, Chandler, who he said deserved the victory. Now he said that he has many things to work on, not just competing. This message was a little cryptic and could be referring to an early retirement. He is now 38 years old and must have considered it in the past, but he at least needs some time off. And his boss agrees. Dana White expects him to take some time away from the sport for a while to recover. He might not be Ferguson's best friend right now, but he still cares about his health, and the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission have given him no other option. They gave him a 60-day medical suspension. Not many of us get ordered by our work to take 60 days off. Enjoy it, Tony. Which MMA legend did Ferguson accuse of using cocaine? And why doesn't Michael Chandler want to fight Dustin Poirier? Don't go anywhere because all that and more is coming right up. More shots fired. But Dana White hasn't been the only target of Tony Ferguson recently. After it was announced that Charles Oliveira wouldn't be able to defend his lightweight title against Justin Gaethje because he didn't make the weight cut, it reminded Ferguson of Daniel Cormier. Cormier is a commentator now, but in his day, he was a lightweight, heavyweight, and heavyweight UFC champion. He has had a long and successful career and is almost universally respected in the sport. But Ferguson wasn't thinking of any of this when he saw that Oliveira didn't make weight. Instead, his mind turned back to UFC 210, when Cormier was able to shed 1.2 pounds suspiciously quickly. When he returned to weigh in for a second attempt, he just snuck under the limit and celebrated with his team. But many fans believe that Cormier was able to trick the scales by holding onto a towel in what became known as Towelgate. And for some reason, 5 years later, after Ferguson's knockout defeat, he found time to dig this up and take a shot shot at Cormier. He tweeted out that the UFC should have stripped Cormier of his belt just like they have done to Charles Oliveira. And unsurprisingly, Cormier had a quick comeback for Ferguson. He replied in a tweet, "Tony, please stop. Go and sit back for a while. Tuck your head in a hole somewhere." But Tony didn't stop. He went on to accuse Cormier of using cocaine and told him to enjoy his retirement with Fathead, a reference to his close relationship with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Slow down, Tony. You won't have any friends left in the UFC by the way you're going. Next for Chandler? After Chandler's stellar performance against Tony Ferguson, he has established himself as a strong contender in the lightweight division. But right now, that division is stacked with fighters like Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Charles Oliveira at the top. Poirier is number 2 in the rankings right now, while Chandler is sitting down at number 5. Logically, Chandler should be looking for a fight with someone like Poirier to move his way up to the title, but he has no interest in that. Chandler said that he has no interest in fighting Dustin because he didn't acknowledge Chandler when he first came into the UFC. Additionally, Chandler thinks that Dustin doesn't attract much attention in terms of audience. When Poirier accused Chandler of calling out everyone except him, Chandler responded that he forgot about him. He thinks that Poirier has done a lot in his career to be proud of, but that he hasn't done enough recently to justify himself as the number 2 contender. For Chandler, he deserves that place. For the future, that means that Chandler will likely be looking for a fight with Islam Makhachev, Justin Gaethje, or the recent champion Charles Oliveira. But ultimately, it's not up to him. Whatever Dana White and the UFC decide will be the final say. Who do you want to see fight Chandler next? And is this the end of the road for Tony Ferguson? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.